Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. More Hail Caesar here as we wind our way down to the last few factions for the game. So time period wise today we're looking at 11th through 13th centuries, and this represents the later Welsh. So in a departure from a lot of the recent lists here, this is actually like an infantry focused list, almost like entirely, right? So interesting army composition here. Basically half of the infantry or more has to be infantry other than skirmishers, and then a sub requirement of that, medium spears or bows have to be more than half of the infantry. So again, ignoring skirmishers. So basically, if we had 8 units of infantry, 4 more have to be spearmen, 4 more have to be bowmen. So divisions, typical 4+ units there, excluding skirmishers. And then here, interestingly, pretty high skirmisher content nonetheless. Skirmishers per division could be 50% of the infantry. So a fair few things going on here. So let's jump right in. We do get a little bit of cavalry too, we should mention that. But it's essentially an infantry heavy list. So we got, first off, the Welsh medium cavalry with spears and or javelins, so pretty solid there, 27 points. And here, if we want to, we could actually get a little bit more hitting power with the lances for 3 points per unit. And that does replace the spears and or javelins. Now, we could then also go a little bit more, a more expensive unit here with the heavy cavalry. Same options, basically, although now we're starting at 30 points, although, again, we're getting those heavy cavalry buffs, right? More clash, more sustain, and a better save. So probably well worth the 30 points just to have that option. And again, we can add that extra punch to it with the lances, although now we're getting up to 33 points. The cool thing here, though, is one of those units we can pay just a single point and make them tough fighters, well worth the investment. And, if we're going to do that, we might as well go all in and make that unit also at least the one that has the lances, if nothing else does. So we do get a little bit of a light cavalry option as well, and pretty cool that we get feigned flight with that. So basically, light cavalry, spears and or javelins, small unit. Again, we know what that will do. We can't expect more out of them than what they're capable of as a small unit, but pretty neat too. Now, a rarity here, though, is that we can give the light cavalry lances instead of spears. Pretty interesting stuff there for 2 more points, so well worth testing that out a little bit. So then the heavy infantry, so now we're getting into the bread and butter of the list, and as it mentions in the description, right, these are kind of representing like dismounted nobles. We get 1 unit of them, so again, might as well take them, and we can pay that extra point, which we might as well, right? We get 1 unit, we might as well get them to be the best, so we're going to get tough fighters for that extra point there. 27 points, and again, it's just, other than that, a bog standard heavy infantry unit, but well worth the tough fighters. Now, interestingly, we have a regular medium infantry unit. We have the medium infantry save, but not quite the fighting ability. But it's a regular size unit of bowmen, and they're going to be pretty nasty. And again, we can pay extra to make them marksmen, which there's no other restrictions really. So basically, let's find the points and make every infantry unit in our list have marksmen. Same thing for light infantry below. And again, they're not small units, although we can, on the light infantry, pay or actually get a discount, substantial discount, to make them small units. So we have all kinds of flavors here of marksmen and even small unit marksmen as well. So really, if we deploy and how we set up the table, or not the table, but our forces, we're going to have all kinds of missile troops to pepper the enemy with, hopefully land several critical hits and really demoralize them with just putting all that damage on before we get into combat, and getting the small units too into just many different positions where they can be as annoying as they should be, will be pretty key there. Moving on, then we get kind of just a generic medium infantry spearman unit. Again, if we just need cheap blocks of infantry, that's pretty good there. Now, an interesting one too, light infantry spearmen. Again, if we're just looking to save the points, but really that 3-point discount just doesn't do much. Although, interestingly, we could have some small units there, and that's just something different. No other list really does, like the light infantry spears, and then especially in small units. So it could be worth playing around with some tactics on that, and maybe just as the smaller units working our way into those like flank charges and other stuff like that. And then finally, rounding it out with a skirmisher package, we get 2 small units here, one with javelins, again for some close range work, and then the bow unit. Now the interesting thing, even with the skirmishers for the bows here, and I'd probably prioritize more of them, is that we can also make them marksmen. So for again 1 extra point, we can really just kind of like build a, I wouldn't want to call it like a sniper list in that sense, because that's not really what we're dealing with in this kind of game, but really just a surprisingly nasty list, especially if the dice are with us. They're going to rain all kinds of fire on the opponent, and what close combat troops we do have will do just fine to hopefully mop things up. So very nasty, and of course leadership 8 on this as well. So for the later centuries here of what the game covers, an interesting list certainly can stack up against English and other contemporaries here. Pretty nasty. Not overwhelming in the just sheer amount of like special rules, right? We get a little bit of tough fighters and some feigned flight, but the bread and butter here is the ability to just get insane amounts of units that all can have marksmen, right? There's no reason not to spend that 1 extra point to get that ability and just get those extra hits. So all in all, pretty cool. Also a fun army to model and paint, certainly. Let us know, guys, if you've tested Later Welsh and how that's gone in your games and where you've had success and where you've struggled. Hit us up in the comments. Be sure to like and subscribe, and follow us for more Hail Caesar. We'll see you in the next one.